Tzi Ma, and I play Ed, the father.
How was your path to Red Doors?
It was so weird. I mean, it's been a while, right? So I mean, I think it's like chicken and the egg thing. I can't really remember. I think there was only two ways to get to Red Doors. One was, I think Frida called me and said, "You got to read the script." That was one thing. And I think either before or soon after, I ran into Mia. I mean, at some function, and I met Mia like about 3 or 4 years ago. And he said, "Oh man, you should really read the script." I'm going, "Did somebody just mention this to me like really recent, like yesterday?" So I said, "Oh, what the hell?" I said, "I better read this thing, man." So I read it, right? And I said, "Wow, this is really cool." And then of course, meeting you, that's how we got to Red Doors. It was fun. I mean, I thought it was it's funny, how some things, kind of everything kind of gravitates towards a particular end. And
Yeah.
I think that's what happened with Red Doors. You kind of, it's almost like those whirlpools, man. You pull the plug and everything kind of goes into the same spot. And everybody just kind of, almost like a convergence of you should check this out. Really, I tell you, indie films are really difficult. Your hands are tied half the time. It's like going into the ring, fighting the world champ in boxing and tie one arm behind your back. I mean, it's always that feeling. And the heart's always there. Unless the script really attracts you, unless you really believe in what you want to do and be part of it, it's too difficult. I mean, you're committing a good chunk, at least a month of your time. I mean, I'm not even counting shooting time. I'm talking about, you have to prepare for the role. You have to get the script, you have to read it, you have to, I mean, really, you have to have discussions with, the director and see where you want to go with this thing. And it's really not worth it, to put in that much time and knowing that the situation is going to be difficult at best, to commit to something like this. And then you really have to look at something and say, you know what, I love it, I want to do it. Or don't do it. Because if you don't, everything gets like doubly hard. I mean, I've done something like that. And it everything compounds itself about, oh God, things are not on time, there's no money, and we're running on film, blah, 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 and all that. Everything gets multiplied. And if you don't sit there and go, you know what, I really want to do this, it's not going to happen. Red Doors is a funny project, I'm telling you. A lot of times you can always differentiate what is the most difficult and what's the easiest. I mean, what do you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. But Red Doors is the same thing. The things that I enjoy about Red Doors is the thing that I wish there was more isolation for me, but there was that sense of family. Because there was no isolation, you're kind of stuck, in this space, right? I mean, which is your house. And there's no place to go, really, to kind of go, okay, I really need some time alone. But you can't, because everybody's there. The crew, I mean, the cast, I mean, there's just nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So in some ways, that bothered me. Because, I mean, I felt that Ed needed time. He needed time, not me. And I really enjoy being with everybody, It's funny, it's probably the most attractive crew I've ever worked with. It's really distracting. Because then you got, the AC is standing there and she's gorgeous. And then you got like the gaffer and they all like, they all like models and shit. You're sitting there going, let me focus here. And then, you and Jane's running around with these trays and Mia's running around with like, I mean, it was summer. People were wearing hardly anything, It's like you kind of go, okay, let's do this scene. But so Red Doors is kind of weird that way, It's like normally you try not to have these distractions because I don't always work that way. It's not like, okay, I always need, this kind of focus. It's just that a lot of times I always do these roles that are really dramatic and like it's really tragic and all these things happen to him, And you kind of go, okay, God, I need the time, leave me alone. Red Doors is not that way, But you still need some focus. I mean, I think, and everybody was so great, I mean, pulling I mean, doing all different tasks. I mean, things that they normally don't do, and they're trying to work on things that you know they want to work on and be better at.
Yeah.
You know, there was that feeling of camaraderie and family, you know, in a project that I totally enjoyed.
Do you want to talk about like where Red Doors fits in kind of the Asian American movement of film?
Oh God, there's so many levels, man. I mean, which is something I neglected to mention before. One of the reasons why this particular project is so much more attractive than other independent films is because of you. You know, as a Chinese American woman directing, you know, a feature. I mean, women directors are far and few between to begin with, and to be a minority on top of that, you know, I felt that, you know, of course, I mean, the project needs to be good. Otherwise, we probably would say, you know what, go back to film school, you know, get a little more stuff under your belt, and then we talk about it, right? But it was very difficult to say no because of that, too, you know, other than the fact that the script's fantastic and what you've written, what you've done with the character is great. But as far as part of the Asian American movement is concerned, it is going away from your kind of, you know, kitchen drama. It's going away from your normal situation where you're talking about family or you know, their history, where they got, you know, they come from China or Japan or, you know, Korea, wherever they're from. I mean, it's like you kind of get these family dramas all the time. Now you're kind of moving into an area of creativity. You know, you kind of, well, can these people exist really? Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, there's just something about this family that is not your typical family. Not even Asian American, Chinese American, American. Doesn't matter, you know, what family you're talking about, what ethnicity. It's just a unique family, you know, and how they approach their lives, and how they interact with one another. You know, I mean, you know, the universality of this family is that whatever they go through, other people can identify, because it is about solving certain obstacles, about, you know, about solving certain problems. It's about how to get over these obstacles, and how do we communicate? How do we learn to do that? Do we ever learn? I mean, you know, families that don't even talk to one another. You know, families that, you know, that, I mean, they have no opportunity until it's too late. You know, to kind of go, you know what, I should have said this about, you know, who we are and how, and to say sorry or thank you or whatever, you know. I mean, I think the uniqueness of this particular family is there is an effort in trying to communicate. No matter how hard it is, and no matter how much they fail in terms of how to do it, but they never, I don't think they ever give up. You know, they kind of always come back, you know, to it and say, you know what, let's try that again. And I think a lot of times people don't try hard enough. You know, they give up.